We now begin our awakening hour. 我们现在开始晨观暮觉。师父前2周讲到如何在静坐当中调整自己的心念的状态，我们希望达到专注跟清楚明白。今天师父讲一个方法，那我们可以在静坐结束之后给自己一个回馈，让我知道这一支香做得如何。这个方法叫做心流全忆，心念的心，流动的流。这一支香，我们的心念的流动，要把它全部回忆起来，心流全忆。这个方法就是在静坐结束之后，不管是10分钟、20分钟、30分钟都可以。结束之后，我花个2-3分钟的时间，试着去回忆一下这一支香从头到尾，我的心都在做什么？我是不是能够记得？记得多少？如果我的心是有正念的，有觉照的，那我应该能够记得。但是往往呢，我们会失去觉照，心念会跑掉。过了1分钟、2分钟才记得要抓贼，把这注意力收回来。所以我们现在回忆一下，心念跑掉几次，收回来几次。每一次呢，这专注力大概能维持多久？这就是心流全忆。这样子我们知道自己的专注力到什么程度，知道我是比较容易昏沉呢，还是比较容易打妄想。如果昏沉呢，就是有一段时间，几分钟甚至10几20分钟的时间，我都不晓得心在做什么，没有任何记忆，那就是在昏沉当中，在无记当中。那如果是心跑掉了，你应该会记得，哎呦， 对呀，差不多几分钟左右，想到什么事儿，然后呢，过了大概多久，大概就好，我又把这心收回来了。我们可以从10分钟开始，也就是下一次我们静坐的时候，做个10分钟就好。10分钟数息也好，观息也好，全身觉照也好，尽量保持清楚明白，心在当下。好，10分钟做完了，我来做一次心流全意。你可能会发现，前2分钟还能够专注在呼吸上，然后呢，心念跑掉了，想到昨天什么事情，那可能过了1分钟、半分钟，觉察了，再把它收回来。然后可能又过了2、3分钟，心又跑掉了。好，这一次呢，可能几秒钟就觉察了，就把它收回来。那接下来呢，不知不觉的10分钟就到了，那就表示呢，最后大概4、5分钟都在昏沉了。好，这就是一个心流全意的过程。那不管是你能够70%、80%的时间都能专注，都能有正念，或者只有20%、30%，我都要很诚实的给自己这种回馈啊！不要因为我发现好像大部分时间都在昏沉妄想，我就很自责，没有必要。重点是知道自己真实的状况。如果我们心是有觉照的，其实你是能够记得的。如果不记得，那就是出了状况，不是昏沉就是妄想。妄想还比较容易回忆起来，昏沉呢可能就回忆不起来，你只知道那段时间是空白的。所以这个心流全意呢，师父建议大家，如果你每个星期天天静坐，那么1周呢做个1、2次就好，不是每一次打坐完都要做，就是1周呢做个1、2次的心流全意，让自己知道说我目前的状况，然后就可以配合上一次我们所讲的，你就知道心比较容易沉还是比较容易浮。如果比较容易浮，你应该怎么做？如果比较容易沉，你应该怎么做？那么我们在静坐的时候就能够更加警觉。这个就是心流全意，它不是一个静坐的方法，它是静坐完回忆这支香，给自己一种回馈的方法。Last couple weeks, Shifu explained how to bring your mind to balance, both focused and with clarity within a sitting session. You may need to do this a couple times, 3, 4 times, or even more as needed during the sitting session. That is to check yourself whether my present state of mind is a little bit low, drowsy, dim, and then how to counter that. Or my present state of mind is a bit overactive, a bit too easily distracted, and how to deal with that. Today, Shifu will explain a way to give ourselves feedback after the sitting session is completed. This method is called Mindstream Recall. Mindstream Recall. So let's say you have completed a sitting session of 30 minutes. Then, after it is done, you spend a few minutes, try to recall, see if you can remember the whole process, where your mind was, what your mind was doing. The idea is that if you were totally mindful, you should be able to remember everything, what happened during that 30 minutes. For example, you were observing the breath. Then you should be able to remember all this time you were focused on the breath, except you were interrupted a couple times by some thoughts, maybe during the 7th and 8th minute, but then you caught it quickly within a few seconds and brought it back to the breath. And in the last 10 minutes or so, you got distracted again. But you were again able to catch it quickly and then bring your attention back to the breath. Now that would be a really good session. But most likely what happens is the following. You were doing okay for the first 2-3 minutes. And then you start to think about the dinner last night. And then your mind went off on that track. Your mind stream went off on that track. And before you knew it, you were planning a weekend gathering with a bunch of friends next month. But then at some point, maybe a couple of minutes later, you realize, hold on, I should be practicing mindfulness of the breath. So you bring your attention back to the breath. So this is about 4 or 5 minutes into the meditation session. And then you were able to maintain that focus for around 4 or 5 minutes. Of course, you don't need to be exact. You don't need to be looking at your watch, no. It's just approximately maybe 4 or 5 minutes later, there was a blank. You drew a blank. You did not know what your mind was doing. And then that went on for a while. Could be 4 or 5 minutes, could be 7, 8 minutes. You're just guessing. And then you realize, oh wait, I should be doing the meditation. So when you draw a blank, you don't know what your mind was doing during that period of time. That means your mind sank. Your mind was underactive. Your mind was drowsy or in a daze. You forgot to do the meditation. Okay? So remember how to counter your mind when your mind is drowsy. But it is too late because the session is finished. Okay, so during the session, I was drowsy for a few minutes. So this is about halfway through. And then you shake your shoulders a little bit. You bring up the awareness. You go back to observing the breath. Now this went on for another 3 minutes or so, and then you start thinking about something else. You start thinking about that deadline you have to meet a couple of weeks from now, and that coworker, this and that. Or you start thinking about making travel plans to Europe. And this time, this distraction went on for several minutes before you realize, hey, I forgot to meditate. All right, so you bring your attention back to the breath, stay put, breathing in, breathing out. And then sure enough, in a few minutes, the mind was gone again. You don't know what you were doing until 30 minutes was up. Now, this is typical actually. A lot of people, when they practice this Mindstream Recall, they realize that half the time, or even more than half the time, they will actually not be mindful. The mind either falls into drowsiness or was thinking about something else for quite a while. Now, whatever the case may be, whether you were able to maintain mindfulness most of the time, 70-80% of the time, or maybe even 20% of the time, whatever the case may be, you just accept it. That is the way it is. That is my current practice. This is the honest feedback you give to yourself. And so that next time when you meditate, you realize, okay, I'm more prone to become drowsy, or at this stage, I'm more prone to become distracted. I start thinking about this and that. So we talked about how to counter that, how to deal with that during a meditation session. Now you have a better idea what your mind tends to do, then you are more alert. You're a little more alert and you deal with it. So this way, both with the in-session adjustments and with the end-of-session recall, we are giving ourselves feedback on how well our meditation practice is. This way, we can make progress. Progress needs feedback, and only yourself can give you feedback. Now, Shifu recommends that you practice this Mindstream Recall starting with a 10-minute meditation. Start with something short so you get used to this. We are probably not used to recalling our thought process. So this is new, but when you get used to it, it becomes easier. So start, for example, next time you meditate for 10 minutes. At the end, during that 10 minutes, of course, try to maintain alertness as well as you can. And then after the 10 minutes, you do a Mindstream Recall and assess your ability to practice mindfulness presently. And Shifu recommends that, let's say you meditate every day for 1 or 2 sessions, then do this Mindstream Recall a couple of times a week. You don't need to do that after every meditation session. You do that a couple times a week to get an idea my current training, the state of my current meditative training. And so you can be better alerted on how you can adjust your mental state during the meditation. This way, we should be able to make steady progress in our meditation. Okay. Any questions about today's teaching? 今天师父讲心流全忆这个方法有些人已经听过，有些人可能还没听过，大家有没有什么问题呢？知不知道怎么用？Do you know how to practice Mindstream Recall? Any questions about the method?
师父没有办法很精准的知道说我哪一段时间可以安静多少分钟，然后有杂念进来，然后接下来下一段时间我又能够安静多久，然后又有一个杂念进来，那个时间的感觉没有办法很精准，那是 OK 的吗？
对，你不需要很精准的知道只要大概的知道，就是说，我起了妄想，大概是比较短呢，还是比较长？比较短呢，可能是几秒钟；比较长呢，可能是一两分钟，甚至呢5分钟左右，那就是很长了。大概知道就好，我们不需要很精准的知道是多少。但是，譬如说有好几分钟，有一大段时间都不晓得心在做什么那就是你就知道说，那么一大段时间我都在昏沉这个是很有可能的。你就是知道有这样的状况是重点 ，OK？ So the question is it okay if I cannot precisely know how long I was distracted or how long I was drowsy? Is that okay? Yeah, that's perfectly okay. There's no expectation that you need to know it very well. You just approximately, very short time. You was thinking about something for a very short time, say a few seconds, or maybe as long as 2-3 minutes, or maybe even longer. You need to, approximately like that. Or if there was a whole period of time, probably 3 to 5 minutes where you don't know what your mind was doing, then that means your mind was in a daze. It was drowsy. Okay, so you have an idea what your mind tend to do during the meditation. That is good enough. Okay.
师父，阿弥陀佛，请教您一个问题：禅修的效果，就是起伏不定，有一段时间很好，有一段时间又很差，无法集中。有没有什么办法让这个禅修的效果能够比较持续？谢谢。
就是每天静坐4支香，做10年。So 静坐呢，你每一次做的状态都会不一样，因为很多事情会影响你的心念的状态。每一天，不管你或者是身体的疲劳与否，或者是你今天或者是昨天发生了什么事情啊，你有什么样的事情让你担心，让你挂碍，或者是你的情绪起伏或者是你昨天晚上睡得如何，这些都会影响你静坐的状态。所以每一天可能都不一样，但我们要看的是比较长久的，就是说好，过去这半年我静坐的状况如何呢？所以我用心流全忆来检讨几次每个礼拜检讨1-2次，我大概可以知道说好，本来我每次心流全忆大概80%的时间都是昏沉妄想，但是半年以后呢，我透过静坐当中这种对治沉浮的这种方式呢，我发现在心流全忆的时候，我可能就可以提升到50%左右的觉照，时间是有觉照的，这就是一个很不错的进步不是要每一次，而是大致来说这样的一个大致是这样的一个平均是这样的一个状态 OK。 那静坐呢，你只有持之以恒的练习，就像任何技能一样，任何高难度的技能，就弹钢琴或者是做木工或者是任何这种技能呢，都需要长期的不断的去琢磨，去练习，慢慢掌握到其中细微的调整的方法，你才能够有很稳定的输出，对不对？你才能每一次能够很稳定的比如说弹一首歌，每次都能够很稳定的弹得不错，那个要5年10年的功夫嘛，是不是？好，那静坐呢，因为是新的调整，新的训练，那只会比那个更难所以这些都是正常的，就是要持之以恒。Okay, the question is, every time I meditate, the condition, how well I can do during that meditation session varies quite a bit. Is there a way I can make sure that I have a steady level of meditation practice? So my quick reply is that you meditate 4 times a day for 10 years, then you will definitely achieve a certain level of steadiness and being able to sit well, maybe 70-80% of the time. All right. Now, it's just like any skill, like playing music, like carpentry, sculpting, painting, any kind of skill like that. If you want to have consistent output, meaning that every time you do it, you have a pretty good outcome. It takes 10 years, right? Doesn't it? 10 years of diligent training. Now, meditation is the training of the mind, and it's only harder than any of those skills, those physical skills. Okay, but not to despair. Every time we meditate, the condition of mind is influenced by many things. What is concerning you in these last couple of days, your emotional state, how well you slept last night, your physical condition, and so on and so on and so on. So many factors change from day to day and from morning to the afternoon, right? So you could have a really good session today, and then tomorrow you have a really, terrible session. That's very normal. That's quite normal. What we want to look at is the average. For example, you learn about this Mindstream Recall today, so you practice that every week. All right, you do meditation several times a week, and you practice this Mindstream Recall every week, and then you look at it half a year later. Half a year later, you realize that half a year before, when I do the Mindstream Recall, I realized that maybe 80% of the time I was not being mindful. But then half a year later, you find that on the average, maybe 50% of the time you will be mindful. So that's a big improvement. That's an indicator of progress. Okay, so just be patient. And meanwhile, every meditation session that you do makes a difference in your life, right? 还有没有问题？ Okay, then let us conclude our session with the dedication. 我们现在回向，愿以此精进禅修共修的功德回向所有参与者，身体健康，心灵能够清楚明白，常常有觉照，贪嗔痴能够消减，也回向给世界和平，回向给世界所有受苦受难受病苦以及其他苦难的众生都能够得到业障消除，能够情形能够改善。那也希望所有一切众生都能够接触佛法，究竟离苦得乐。May the merits of our diligent practice together be dedicated to everyone having good health and making progress in your Buddhist practice. And we also dedicate to world peace. May all those sentient beings suffering in the world today be alleviated of their dukkha. And may all sentient beings have a chance to encounter the Dharma and achieve Nirvana. Okay, we'll see you next week, next Sunday. 我们下周日再会。
阿弥陀佛。
感恩师父，感恩师父，
感恩师父，
感恩师
阿弥陀佛，
阿弥陀佛，
感恩师父，阿弥陀佛，
感恩师父，
感恩师父，阿弥陀佛，
谢谢师父。
阿弥陀佛，
感恩师父，阿弥陀佛。